Paula Cristina Roque is an independent analyst and the author of the book Governing in the Shadows, Angola's Securitized State. She joins us live now from Lisbon, Portugal. All right, thank you so much for being with us, Paula. So when we look at what's happening in terms of the election in Angola right now, UNITA is certainly gaining ground, gaining popularity, especially among young people, but NPLA is still in the position to win. Can we actually trust the results here? Are there any irregularities in terms of this vote that you're seeing?
Well, in my opinion, these were the most opaque elections that Angola's had. They're the fifth elections, and these are also the existential elections for Angola, the most that the MPLA has to lose. They have misgoverned the country, like you said in your report, for 5 decades, and the population want more. So if these were truly free, fair and transparent elections, UNITA would win. They established a very credible, broad opposition that included civil society and the middle classes, other political forces, and everyone wants change. So the reality is that we've had several irregularities before the polling. So when fraud is committed, it's committed before voting, during voting, and then in the tallying process. We're currently at the tallying process. And the law was changed in Angola so that it would remove key accountability and transparency steps, some of which were you wouldn't have counting at the provincial or the municipal levels, only at the national level. So all the ballot boxes from the 18 provinces and the 13,000 polling stations were sent and transported to Luanda, the capital, with companies that were directly tied to the presidency and to the military. And the opposition and civil society have very little access to the centralized way of counting those votes. So in reality, the MPLA could have determined whatever vote, whatever result it wanted.
I see. I see. So in the past, elections in Angola have been contested. How likely is it to happen this time? I mean, based on what we're seeing on paper, MPLA is likely to win in terms of the official results that are put out there. How likely is it that UNITA is going to contest this? And will we see unrest, especially given that it is much closer, this election is much closer in terms of the results than what we've seen in the past?
So UNITA and this broad coalition of civil society activists are doing currently a parallel count so that they can juxtapose the results that the National Electoral Commission, that is controlled by the MPLA, is putting out, and also the results that they are slowly counting through the result sheets of that their delegates were able to get copies of. So that's a slow process. Once they have the parallel count, they'll be able to dispute in a credible way the results that the Electoral Commission has come out with. Now, there's tension. This was a very tense, a very toxic campaign. There wasn't a lot of political elegance in the way that the campaign was waged. Angola remains very polarized. These elections were even more polarizing, unfortunately. And so there's a lot of tension in Luanda, in the capital. There's tension across the country. The police and the security apparatus have been fully mobilized to contain any unrest. In fact, they're expecting unrest. We haven't yet heard of anything. There have been some issues here, some skirmishes, but it has been contained by the police. I think what's going to make a difference is how is the opposition going to respond? So we're waiting to hear from the leader of UNITA, Alberto Costa Jr., and let's see what he says. I don't think he'll have the parallel count results today, probably tomorrow. And when he releases those, will we have spontaneous protests, even if UNITA tries and appease the situation? We don't know.
And let's just talk about, just pivoting slightly, the two candidates, because João Lorenzo took over from Dos Santos, who ruled the country for several decades. And one of the things that surprised everyone about him is that not only did he say that he was going to tackle corruption, but he did so by turning against his former boss, essentially, by turning against Dos Santos, who was previously the party ruler of MPLA and obviously the former president. So that's João Lorenzo. On the other side, you've got the head of the UNITA party, who essentially has managed to appeal to young people through being sort of very charismatic and offering them an alternative. You know, obviously a lot of people in Angola right now are dealing with the weight of crushing poverty and also youth unemployment. Just talk to us about both of these two candidates.
So João Lourenço came in as an economic reformer. He brought in the IMF. He restructured the national oil company Sonangol. He began an anti-corruption drive that was very popular. So the more he pursued the clan and the kleptocratic elite of the previous administration, the more his popularity rose. But then slowly people started to understand that what was happening was actually a political purge within the MPLA party for him to retain power. So it hasn't really amounted to much. They haven't managed to repatriate significant amounts of the funds that were looted, and corruption, in fact, continued under his watch. So he lost credibility in that aspect. On the other side, on the other hand, you have Adalberto Costa Jr., who wasn't a known figure during the war in UNITA. He was a diplomat. He never had military experience or credentials. He is very, he has a very interesting way of speaking, and he's evocative of almost the past of Savimbi's speeches, which could be construed as a positive or a negative aspect. Mm-hmm. But for the population, it's interesting for them that we have now an orator, because for all his faults, Savimbi was a very good speaker.